Nice. I hope everybody's got a plan to keep things cool today because it's going to be a hot one here in Seattle. So join us on social if you haven't already. We've got little reminders there about what's coming up and reminders to connect with our awesome entrepreneurs. And make sure you get our emails so you know about special events and things that are coming up. And so what are we about? Well, we're about sharing ideas and offering help and asking for help. And we're different from most of the entrepreneur communities because we don't require you to be at any particular stage in order to join us. You can be at the idea stage, you can have an established business, you could be going for funding. It doesn't matter to us. We're just about creating community and supporting each other. We're part of a whole community of 1 Million Cups chapter, so you can catch a 1MC in every time zone from the East Coast all the way to Alaska and Hawaii. I think there's one in Hawaii. And we always seek education, presentations, and connections. And so those are the 3 pillars that really drive a lot of the things that we do here at 1 Million Cups and drive the themes of kind of the different things that we invest in and ways we try to expand how we work together. Tons and tons and tons of entrepreneurs have shared their stories at 1 Million Cups, and many shared their story here for one of the first times. Special thank you to some of our community sponsors who help provide us with some of the tech that it takes to run a weekly event and keep us organized and keep people engaged. So thank you to all of those sponsors. And we're also a community volunteer run organization. So it might surprise you how much it might take to run a weekly event. And ultimately those of us that are doing this, we're here because we love this community and want to see it thrive. So if you also love this community and are interested in giving back in some way, we'd love to have you reach out to us. You can email us at seattle@1millioncups.com. No commitment if you just raise your hand. We can be happy to chat. I know before I was a volunteer, I just regularly communicated with the organizers and was like, hey, I have an idea, but I'm not ready to step in all the time. So our general format is coffee and conversation, and then we've got our 6-minute entrepreneur presentation followed by 20 minutes of Q&A. And that Q&A is really kind of the magic time, I would say. And then we'll do some more connecting via breakout rooms afterwards. So you can be a supportive listener by making sure that you're giving energy and focus to the presenter, limiting your distractions wherever you're able to, and start to notice while you're listening what stands out to you. What do you want to learn more about? Or is there something that you could share your expertise in? Because as part of that Q&A, these are some prompts that might prompt you to ask a question or might prompt you to offer an idea. And we always encourage you to watch your language when you're thinking about giving feedback or participating in the Q&A. We never want to should all over our presenter. So you could certainly ask questions starting with what, or have you ever thought about? So that said, I'm gonna pause my screen sharing and kick it on over to Kareem, our presenter and our newest organizer. Woo!
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Give me a second to make sure that I can sort of share this appropriately.
You can have all the seconds you need, so long as there's 10 of them.
I'm so bummed that I didn't get to introduce Kareem. I was like, oh, am I hosting today? I'll be like, and I didn't get to introduce you.
Did you have a fun limerick or joke you're going to include with it?
I was working on it until I realized that I wasn't hosting it, and I was like, okay, I'll use that brain power for something else.
Katie got the honors today.
Yep. I mean, Kareem is awesome. That's basically all you need to know.
Except I can't figure out how to share my screen.
Okay, awesomeness revoked.
Oh,
no.
Harsh. So at the bottom of your Zoom, there should be a share screen button. It should be green.
Kareem rhymes with green share button.
It does. There we go. We got you.
Can you see it?
Take it away.
Fantastic. So hello, everybody. My name is Kareem Brantley, and we got a lot of material to cover in about 6 minutes. So I'm just going to get right to it. I'm the founder of GreenSome Farms, and what we are, let me see if I can move this forward. Can you see the page change? Yes, okay. So my intention today, just to set it clear, is to introduce what it is that we're doing, receive your feedback from on our core value proposition. We're in the process of pivoting, right? And so we had done business one way, and based on what we've learned in the coronavirus and what we see as a ceiling, we're looking to do business in a different way. And so right now I'm going to cover who we are, why should anyone care about us, how do you think, or is it believable that we can deliver on what we say we can, and then who am I, right? We have a team behind me, but this is kind of important. An idea to keep in mind while we walk through this is Girl Scout cookies, right? And an interesting thing about the Girl Scouts is that they are a fantastic organization that give leadership opportunities to girls around the world, and they do a lot of good work. This is everyone has heard of the Girl Scout cookies. Did you know that this is an $800 million business, right? So they raise a tremendous amount of money, right? All of it, or sort of all of the profits, all right, above the cost of cookies, goes back into Girl Scouts, right? And that's the basic model of what we're doing with GreenSome Farms. We exist, right? So GreenSome Farms exists at its core to accelerate the world's transition to regenerative agriculture. Now, each one of these slides that I'll put forward, there's a lot of information behind it, and we can kind of unpack it as the conversation advances. But for those who may not be familiar with what regenerative ag is, it's a style of agriculture that prioritizes soil health, right? And then once you sort of increase soil nutrition, appropriate soil structure, all of these downfield effects come into play, which are powerful, right? A reduction in input costs, a reduction in erosion, an increase in the nutritional content of the food produced within it, right? On and on and on. Sequestration of atmospheric carbon. And so that's the Girl Scout part, right? The regenerative agriculture. This is the cookie part, right? So what are we looking to sell in order to fund the effort? Right. What you see in front of you is on the left is a book about Bill Campbell, and Bill Campbell is really interesting because he was a coach, right? So he was a coach of some of you see the sort of Tim Cook. He was Sheryl Sandberg's coach at Facebook, Susan Wojcicki out of YouTube, Sundar out of Google, right? One of the things that we see in our highest levels of performance is the difference that coaching can make, right? On the right, you see Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. They share a coach in common, right? And so what you'll see at the highest levels of our ability to perform is coaching. So we started talking about regenerative agriculture, right? Girl Scouts, right? Now we're starting to talk about coaching, cookies. But what's the connection, right? How is it together? At its core, what we're looking to do, we're looking to sell coaching, right, to generate revenue to support regenerative agriculture. And so we are building the world's largest and broadest and deepest network of coaches, right? Our pitch is around, right, helping people go from wherever they are now, right, whatever level of income you're at now, right, to $1 million, right, in 12 months. How are we doing that, right? So what we're imagining, what we are building is this idea of moving from coach to coach to coach to coach to coach, right? So this is where you are. This is where Tessa is right this second. Or this is where Kareem is right this second, right? And let's say that I'm having issues with performance or sleep or communication, right? I'm able to go into sort of work within this network, right? Identify, find, begin working with a coach, right? On this particular issue, overcome the obstacle, right? And then move on, right? Move on in revenue, move on in performance, move on. One of the ways that we make this more available for folks is that because we're able to cut coaches' costs of customer acquisition, we're able to pass those savings on to you. So then people like Kareem, let's say that I become a customer, right? I'm able to identify quickly and easily coaches that are suitable for me from a fit perspective. I'm able to engage with them on a reduced price, right? I'm able to move I'm able to check ratings and see how they're doing, right? How other people have found them. I'm able to work with this coach. I'm able to get the benefits from it, and I'm able to move on, right? Sort of a coaching in series. One of the problems, or one of the issues that I have had on a, across, I've made the six figures and done the corporate work, but even still, right? And I think that this is shared across a lot of us, right? We don't make enough. I don't make enough income, so we're looking to address that problem. Coaches that have already signed into the network, you may have recognized, right? So over there is Angela Duckworth. She does a fantastic work in grit, right? You see Tony Robbins there, Grant Cardone. Up in the top right is Lisa Nichols. She's a life coach, right? And so what we're able to do, we work with, let's say, Grant Cardone. And so we, if folks are interested in sales or real estate, right, they're able to engage with Grant at a reduced price, right? We're able to provide a rebate into our customers, right, for that. They're able to go through the coaching process with Grant, and then sort of move on, or they're able to stack, right? Tony Robbins with a Grant Cardone and Angela Duckworth, and sort of onward and onward. GreenSome Farms, our power in our ability to deliver this, right? Yes, we're, some technology, and yes, we're introducing folks, and yes, we are kind of providing accountability, friendly accountability at scale. But really, our core is a skill and expertise of our coaching. And now, directly, because our focus is around income, right? This is where the second piece of this slide really comes in, which is something that I didn't know when I first started this, is that a path to wealth here in this country in these times are multiple sources of income. And so we provide for that as well. And I can kind of unpack that. How is it linked expressly? For every dollar that GreenSome Farms generates through this coaching network work, we donate 1 pound of compost to American farmers, right? $1, 1 pound. The math gets pretty exciting very quickly, right? So our midterm goal, right, we have to do, is as we help sort of our customers earn that, pie in the sky $1 million, right? They will on average spend with us, they do about $1,000, about $20 a week. That $20 a week on a million customers converts into $1 billion of revenue. That $1 billion of revenue converts directly into 1 billion pounds of compost donated into American farmers. Let me spend 2 seconds and talk a little bit about why compost. So we donate that compost for a couple of reasons. One, it immediately improves the soil of the farmers that are within our network, right? And so their carbon content increases, their water retention increases, their nutrient density increases, right? All of the things that measure or support active productivity on the farm are supported by compost, right? One of the reasons why they don't do it now is because it's expensive on a per pound basis. We cut that, right? We cut that. We create essentially buy one, get one, right? You work with GreenSome Farms on the coaching side, you are directly helping American and ultimately international farmers sort of support their soil. A little bit of background for me. And I understand that I'm going fast, a little sort of uncomfortably fast. My graduate degree, I've got a master's in operation research from the University of Pennsylvania, right? So School of Engineering in Wharton. And then my career has been in various senior supply chain roles, Siemens, Starbucks, Amazon, and Microsoft. Essentially, one of the ways that you can understand this effort is we're applying supply chain concepts to coaching. Things around quality, things around scalability, things around retail access, right? Things around proof of concept, right? So these kinds of this sort of supply chain ideas we're applying to coaching. And I think at this point, I want to stop. And it feels kind of jerky, but I want to stop because I think that there's a bunch of questions and I've covered a lot of material. So thank you for your time.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Kareem. Woohoo. So fun to hear what you've been up to and some of the ideas that you have and your passions as well. That is so great. So if you are new to the raising of hands virtually, hopefully, I don't know if that worked, but you can go down to your reactions tab and you can raise your hand. And you can either ask a thoughtful question, try to learn more. You might, again, not should on somebody, but ask, have you ever thought about? And, also even share, like, what are some things that stood out to you from the presentation itself? So with that said, I'm going to kick it on over to Leif, who has our first question.
Me, I'm so special to get first. All right, Kareem. First of all, my mind is blown and I'm trying to pick it up off the ground because I've never heard of a concept like this before. And if it wasn't for the Girl Scout analogy, I'd be like, you are a crazy person. But it is making sense to me. So just a couple things, presentation real quick. I don't think it was too fast. I thought the speed was great. I like fast talkers, so I might be a little biased, but so I think you did great on that. And then the other thing, just from a presentation standpoint, is like, it might not be obvious to people coaching, like people that are brand new to business, you showed sports coaches, and you might not be realized that there are other types of coaches out there, like business coaches or life coaches or things like that, to be very specific about that. Because if I had no idea what those were, I'd be like, why is he talking about athlete coaches and making millions of dollars? And it's not applicable to me. Okay, about your whole coaching thing. My feedback about this is something you have this like whole 12-month plan, right? 12 months, you'll make this much money. I'd imagine it'd be very vigorous on the filtration of who comes into that, because that involves some sort of intensity with the entrepreneur or whoever's, entrepreneur, right? They need to also be ready for that level of intensity. And I imagine many are not. They'll think they are, they have the time. Like, this is my issue too that I have, is like, I'm like, I want people to help me with getting this thing going. And then the second people help me, like, wait, I don't have time to do this. So making sure that, they are ready and they know what they're going to get into, even though your coaching team can like get them going really fast too. So that is just among a list of questions, which I will get to later if there's time. Thank you.
Please, I put my for everybody here, I put my email address in the chat, and please use it, right? And this is an idea. I'm trying to use the 1 million cups idea a little bit like a mastermind, and kind of, right, to chew it together, right? And so please, like, and no comment can be harsh enough, right? And so please don't feel bad. I appreciate all of it. And Leif, thank you for that information. We have a guarantee on that. To your point around accountability, we have a guarantee, and to earn that guarantee, you have to execute the program, right? And execute and document the program. Things like, diet, right? Take a picture of your food, right? Take a picture of your sweaty face when you exercise, right? These kinds of ideas around accountability, around friendly accountability, but still very clear. In order to earn this guarantee, which is a big task, right? In order to earn this guarantee, you have to execute these actions.
Cool. Let's see. Next up, we have Ryan.
Thank you for the presentation, Kareem. I was wondering what sorts of coaching is available from your platform. Is it really just focusing on the personal income side of the equation? Are we talking athletic coaching, nutrition, any coaching imaginable, or just kind of distinct verticals?
Thank you for that question. It's fantastic. We are all coaching, right? From this idea. So right now we have our network is predominantly human performance coaching, right? So on both the athletic side and on the kind of executive life coaching space. The coaching network, think of it a little bit like Uber, right? So even in this little box of faces, right, we have all of this expertise, right? How do we turn that expertise into cash in a real way? And so part of the offer and one of the income flows is around become a coach, right? And so I know a little bit about Katie, for instance. Katie would make in addition to all of the work that she does on a personal basis, on a business basis, she would be a fantastic coach for the use of dramatic arts in your communication styles, like in which is, it's a natural fit. So we're building it out. We're building out sort of broad and deep. Ultimately, we'll get to things like sourdough baking coach, right? We're not there yet, but we're going that direction.
Cool. I didn't even know there was a sourdough baking coach, so learned something new today. Cool. Jolene, you've got our next question.
So are you planning on, branding the coaching under the farms, or are you planning on segmenting your branding?
Sure. So GreenSome Farms will be the host. We will presumably have some specific GreenSome Farm coaches, but for the majority of it, it will be kind of in a network, and we'll be the place that you come for to have access, to have reduced price access to these coaches, right?
So wait, I'm coming to GreenSome Farms.
That's correct.
And that is your coaching brand.
So yes, so coaches can be affiliated with us, but they will largely be independent. We act as a kind of a lead sourcing or lead generation for kind of outside coaches.
So real quick follow up. How are you generating these leads?
So let's say that I work with Leif, right? So Leif engages with GreenSome Farms because he wants to make more money in a quicker way. Turns out Leif is also interested in.
I'm sorry. Hang on. How is Leif going to make more money with GreenSome Farms? Like, why is he approaching you? He found you because he wants to.
Leif engages with us to make money.
But how? Wait, hang on. But why is he searching? How does he know that he's going to make money with you?
Okay. So he makes money with us. He makes money with us 3 ways. He makes money with us through becoming a coach. He makes money through us through referrals and support. He makes money with us through working through our kind of coaching framework. If he wants additional coaching resources, he can engage with those as well.
Okay, so the farm. Okay, so I'm sorry. I think I'm getting caught up on the farm side of things. The farm means nothing. Really, you are a coaching network. Leif knows that that GreenSome Farms is a coaching network. He's going to sign up to become a coach to make money as a coach, correct?
In part, yes. He'll make money for himself, right? By working through the coaching process, right? If he wants additional coaches for whatever, emotional security or what, he can engage with those coaches as well.
Okay.
He pays us to become a member. He pays us to become a member.
Okay. So hang on. He becomes a member as a client or as a coach? As
a client. If he decides to earn an additional set of money, he can also become a coach with us. The same way that you engage with Uber for a drive. And then if you wish to drive for Uber, you can do that as well.
Okay. I have some more questions, but I'll wait.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
I do think that like Jolene's kind of bringing up what some of my questions were too, was around like, what's the process, right? I think that was something that felt missing from your presentation, was the process of like, how do you get people paying you? What are they paying for? Right? And what are they getting? Right? Like, I think that process didn't feel as clear as you were describing it.
And thank you for that. I intentionally left that out given the time constraints. And so I'm picking up, I identify that gap and I can see that. We do have a process. It is clear. I did not present it. We have 6 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that, that's just kind of feedback for you for the future, is just that like, that might be part of the missing link of people really understanding what is this GreenSome Farms thing.
Perfect.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Lindy, you're up next.
Kareem, thanks so much. That was a really interesting presentation. And thanks to my colleagues in this group for asking really good questions, because I had a lot of the same ones. So maybe that's a common theme that would help you inform your presentations. So I have like 6 questions written down, and I'm just going to kind of like ask them. And it's really more on the compost side of things, on the good work that you want to do as a result of your good work. Yeah. So my questions are more like, how do you develop your network of farms? How are you sourcing your compost? And are there state law restrictions on whether or not you can basically like transport compost across state lines, or do you have to have registrations and things like that?
That's a fantastic question. I appreciate that.
Great questions.
We have our roots, our company roots. We started doing business as a distributor for farmers that grow in regenerative regenerative ways, right? And so we have a network of about 2,500 farms around the country, correct, and sort of as of right now, in which these are farms that grow in these styles, and we have been working with them and selling their goods, and right, so it's dairy, meat. So think primary farm products, right? Fruits, vegetables, dairies, meats, and a little bit of like weed. And so we have the farms. We work with Riddell Institute in terms of the technical requirements for composting, right? And so what we do, we combine the what crops the farms are growing with what their soil structure is, right? And develop customized compost products for them. We work with currently we work with regional composting manufacturers to produce that work, right? So in Washington State, we work with Cedar Grove, for instance. The idea around coaching came out of, we had a product within our farm network that was remote agronomic consulting. Essentially, it allowed farmers to walk the fields with their smartphone, take pictures of things, and ping us and say, what is this? What do I do about it, right? It was really well received. There's a strong learning curve in regenerative agriculture. And so the coaching concepts, right, to Jolene's earlier points, actually stem out of that work previously. And so yes, around regulations, yes, we're really informed around them. Yes, we have a current network of farms. Yes, we have a current network of compost providers.
Mm.
That seems like one of the trickiest parts right there, is assembling that supply chain. But like you said, this is, where your area of expertise lies. Can I ask a follow-up question related to that? Understanding the impact that animal agriculture has on climate change, what are you doing to maybe like decrease the impacts of that, or encourage your animal agriculture partners to move towards a more plant-based lifestyle?
So in truth, animal agriculture isn't quite as simple. Animal agriculture and its impacts to climate change aren't quite as simple as not sort of decreasing the amount of meat that we eat. Let me be more specific around that, right? And so the animal agricultural providers that we work with now, as it turns out, if you feed a cow grass and bugs, they fart less, right? So they produce less methane than corn, right? And these kind of concepts are throughout the agriculture, right? And so our position is not that we should, as a general statement, reduce meat consumption. Our position is generally that we should feed these animals what they have evolved to eat, right? So fish should eat like fishy things and not, right? Chicken should eat, bugs, these kinds of things, right? And so there's a digestive science component to this piece around true diets that we work with, right? So yes, we generally stand against sort of cut and burn to provide for acreage to grow cattle on, generally speaking. But we encourage sort of proper outdoors, proper exercise, proper digestion, feed the animals their indigenous diets.
Cool. Lots to think about with this presentation and conversation here. Mark.
Yeah, I have a few questions, a couple more on the kind of general market side, and then I'm going to maybe jump in on the compost side as well. So just in terms of like the coaching side of things, what do you see as your available market when it comes to executive and life coaching? Just from my experience, it seems like there are a lot of coaches who are out there. So I'm wondering how you scale that service model and address basically just how flooded the market seems to be.
Appreciate your question deeply. And so our target market from a customer perspective are those folks that want to make more money, right? And so that's awful broad, right? And so from your coaching quality perspective, right, there are thousands and thousands of coaches, and maybe they are credentialed, maybe they're not, who's good, who's not, right? And so we have this mess around coach sourcing and coach finding, like who's good, who's not, unless you know somebody who's you work with the coach. How do you really know that they're good, right? They all have websites, they all make claims, da 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 da. And so what we are working through from that perspective is two-sided rating system. Let's say that you're a coach, right? So not only will, and let's say I'm your client, right? I'm your coachee, you're the coach. And so I'm the coachee and I will rate the quality of your service, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You're the coach and you rate my work, my stick-to-itiveness, to Leif's earlier point around accountability. You rate me as a client, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Over time, those aggregate into being able to see in a quick and scalable way who is demonstrating and who is performing versus who is not, and who's saying, law of attraction. Not that law of attraction is not to downplay that. However, there's a lot of room that you can hide in law of attraction from a performance and a delivery perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we are trying to do is to really kind of to bring some discipline, some supply chain discipline to quality ratings in the life coaching and in the coaching writ large industry, right? It's a little bit of a mess. And so we're looking to demonstrate some discipline, therefore be able to make it more available for people to engage with, right? Reduce the risk of wasted money and time and going down the wrong path, while simultaneously expand the total amount of coaches, right? So to the earlier point around sourdough baking coaching, I was one of those coronavirus bakers, right? And I tried, I went to YouTube U, right? And it really, if I could have a quick time limited relationship with a coach, it would have saved me, I don't know, 40 loaves and how much time, right? Lindy's raising, nodding her head like it's a
in there
how to bake sourdough. So that's really the vision, is to demonstrate, is to bring some discipline into the space. Who's good, who's not, and be able to identify it quickly and easily.
Okay, that makes sense. So more of a marketplace type model than than an actual coaching. You providing the coaching. Okay,
that's correct.
Yeah, marketplace I think is a good word to hang on to.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a follow-up, Mark?
I did, yeah, and this is the completely other side of the spectrum. So yeah. So we have backyard chickens.
It's a lot of
ideas. It is. Yeah, we have backyard chickens, so I think we probably get that pound of compost like every week. So I'm just thinking about the donation of compost versus maybe setting up these farms to essentially have like complementary things that they're raising. You have the chickens on one end, you're working the compost, and then you're using the compost that is produced naturally by the chickens and not having to transport or anything like that. Is there an aspect of that's kind of in the long-term vision?
Absolutely. So it's kind of, this is how we're working it, right? So for those farmers who are interested, right? So it comes down to a farmer's choice, right? They may or may not be interested in raising goats and chickens, and right based on their own decision set. So the donation looks like this, right? So we contract with a compost manufacturer, and then we handle the logistics and the distribution. And essentially we drop a big pile, a couple of yards of compost at the farmer's front door, right? And the farmers then distribute that across their fields as they see fit, both on a field perspective and on a rangeland perspective. And so if they want to supplement, if they want to grow other things, like that's certainly their right, and that is well within their piece as a regeneratively growing farmer. We don't so much get involved with that. So now the compost, on the compost side, we do that. So we manage, the greens versus browns, right? Versus animals. We make sure that we reach the appropriate temperatures for the appropriate length of time. The particular types of compost that we develop are fungal dominant, right? So we see that the research is pretty clear in terms of plant nutrition and their ability to communicate across these fungal hyphae, right, across these networks of fungus that exists within, right? And so the style that we use, we produce compost in that manner. So which means that
no idea there were so many different ways to produce compost.
It is yes, it is very complex, very technical, and really, really important. And because it's like, so what we're essentially doing at the end of the day is simply accelerating the natural process used to put those compost, those carbon deposits in the soil to begin with, right? So before the oil became oil, it was a pile of rotting plants. before the natural gas. And so what we're doing, we're just looking to accelerate that.
So I'm going to interject here a little bit, Kareem, and ask you, what happens, like, I essentially want to know, like, what is the ultimate value of this, like, what sounds like a composting service that you're providing? Like what's the ultimate value, right? Like, what's the ultimate value of that? And also, like, if you don't do it, what is the opposite end of that? Like, if you don't do it, is just nothing going to change?
It's critical. So it's critical, and it's critical for a number of different levels, right? So it's critical on the farm's perspective for this reason. So what we're seeing writ large in farming, both in the United States and internationally, is an ongoing degradation of soil, right?
Right.
And so, you know, the valuable stuff, the topsoil is leaching off the fields into our waterways, which creates all kinds of problems literally downstream.
Right.
In terms of algae blooms, in terms of some of these fertility, like nitrogen, sort of spiking nitrogen levels, and kind of all of this stuff, right? So from a farm perspective, from a farm value perspective, one of the primary ways that farmland is valued is their carbon percentage or fraction, right? Because it directly ties to the microbial life, which directly ties to the ongoing productivity, the productivity over time of that soil, right?
Okay.
So in the Midwest, we have the benefit in like the Kansas and Nebraska areas at one time of 36 inches of topsoil, right? Now that in many places is 12, 8, 6, right? The amount of folks that are living on this planet continue to increase, right? We need an ability to feed these people, right? When that soil has become depleted, there is no other way to grow like agriculture on them, right?
Right.
So it's critical from that perspective. For you and me who don't live on farms, we have a carbon sequestration problem, right? So we've got spiking levels of carbon dioxide, right, in our atmosphere, as well as methane and sulfur dioxide. Right. Each one of those three greenhouse gases, kind of the primary greenhouse gases, each one of them are sort of metabolized by soil bacteria, right? And so some of the fastest ways, right? So nitrogen oxide directly, sulfur dioxide directly, methane directly, carbon dioxide primarily goes into plant life, which, you know, that provides the carbon for plants to grow. Okay. So what are the most proven by time and cost-effective and currently available ways to sequester carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere is to put it in plants and put those plants back in the soil. So we don't have to develop billion-dollar carbon scrubbing technology, put like caps on top of our coal plants or cases on top of our automobiles, or, you know, we don't have to do all those things. We simply have to grow more plants and put them manage their decomposition and put them back in the soil or back on the soil. Over time, we have layers and layers and layers. We have the natural capacity, and from a soil sequestration perspective, to sequester all of the excess carbon dioxide that we talk about currently right now in the atmosphere.
So I'm going to interrupt you. You clearly know what you're talking about, right? Like, you clearly have an expertise in like what the problems are, the layers of them, etc. That is definitely not a question here. What I think, this is just general feedback for you, and I'm not going to ask you to try to answer the question again.
I love talking about it, and I'm sorry for using so many words.
But that is my feedback to you, is that sometimes you get so excited about telling about the whole process that you don't actually answer the question, right? So I would just encourage you to think about that, like, and it's something I think that all of us have to learn how to do as experts, right, in our own fields. That I'm definitely guilty of this too, that like, it's like, oh, I know all of this stuff, you must know all of it, I must download it right now, right? And people do just want an answer to their question, right? And so I think that as entrepreneurs, we have to get better at, you know, directly answering the question that has been asked of us and making things seem really simple for for our customers to want to engage in it, right? And that it hurts, I feel like, and that's like a painful process, I think, for a lot of us to really trim out the fat, right? And be like, all right, this thing to this thing to this thing, done, right? Like, that doesn't mean that there's not all these other layers of complexity that are part of our business or are part of the services we offer or whatever. But that's just kind of general feedback for you and for all of us, right? To just continue to remind ourselves that let's make sure we focus on, giving the direct answers wherever we can. We are slowly running out of time. So I'm just going to remind everybody that we're going to try to do one question, one breath. Okay. So we're going to do a rapid fire second question from the folks who have their hands up. So Leif.
Okay. Really quick question that's hopefully quick to answer. Girl Scouts sell the cookies, which is the obvious link there. What is the obvious link between coaches and farming, and how do they feed each other other than one just pays to support the other?
That's it.
Okay.
One pays to support the other.
Okay. Why coaching then? It could be anything.
Fastest way to acquire the skills necessary to earn the money you want.
Okay.
Is it just because you're passionate about helping people make money?
No, people care more about making money than they do about regenerative agriculture.
Got it.
Got it.
Cool.
All right, thank you. That was
Lindsay.
good.
Yeah, super quick.
You have such a cool network built here of farms. Do you see an opportunity to be like on the cutting edge by using them as R&D partners for like new products on the marketplace or new ways of dealing with these topics?
Yes. Additionally, we are looking to use the coaching customer base as an opportunity to sell additional regenerative agricultural products too.
Cool. Ryan.
I was going to say that maybe for the order of the presentation, this is something that Katie gave me yesterday, was that maybe relocate the part about the compost to the last or second to last slide so that it gets presented more as a cherry on top than potentially driving people into this, what could be like a rabbit hole of distractions. That's the compost is kind of it's not the main focus here, but everyone tends to get sidetracked by it. So maybe putting it at the end as a sort of cherry on top could kind of keep the focus on what you want the focus on. That's all I had to comment.
Thank you. Agreed.
Tessa. Remember, quick.
Yeah, this isn't a question. This is like direct, quick feedback about the cookies. I think the opposite of what was just said as a counterpoint. And the cookies and scouts don't make sense to me because that's like comes from women making food, baking for other people and taking them around. And that's the way they can get some nice money for themselves and feel good about being a part of the world. And that to me is counterintuitive. That's actually like sexist and misogynistic, but it's now known as that. What is also very confusing is why do we want people making billions of dollars of money from Silicon Valley helping us regenerate the world? Doesn't really go together, but I like how you go, hey, we're taking this thing that we know pushes stuff forward, makes things happen, is an absolute, like, we're going to hitch ourselves to that train and bring the whole freaking world with us and the needs that have to happen. I think put that at the front and make it like, the Girl Scout cookie analogy really helps with that. It's like, hey, these don't actually really make sense, but look what $800 million does for women in leadership through freaking cookies. Look what we can do for the earth and the world through millions of dollars worth of coaching and getting your like sourdough down.
Yes. Mark, last one.
Yeah, I think the main thing I'm hearing from you is a lot of passion on this agriculture side, maybe not so much on the coaching side. I'm wondering, is there a way that you can fund what you're doing with the compost that leverages your expertise and your passion on the agriculture side?
Possibly. Given the scale of the problem, we need a wide hook for people. I think making money is a bigger hook than compost and feel-good apples.
Okay, well, fascinating conversation today, folks. I'm so glad everybody joined us. This is back to you, Kareem. So what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you to continue connecting and continue to help you with your growth?
Things that I could use help with would be, introductions to people who find this work interesting, both on the agricultural side and on the making money be a better you side. recommendations for technology, right? A tech stack, right? So email services that work well, podcasting that helps, right? These kinds of ideas. Already, the community has given me fantastic feedback on the value proposition and helping refine. There are so many ideas and many of them distracting in this, how to get to be able to communicate clearly and effectively. So that has already been met. So introductions and recommendations.
Cool. Awesome. And I'm having some Zoom screen share problems, so we won't get the remaining slides that we normally share. But I will remind everybody that if you enjoyed today and you thought that having this conversation around a variety of things in relation to a presentation was exciting, we encourage you to apply to present. You don't have to be at any particular stage in order to be ready to present. You know, some folks present their idea here for the first time. We do ask that you're within 5 years of business or that you are making a significant pivot like Kareem is. And you can just apply there at 1millioncups.com/Seattle. And if you want to get involved and maybe improve a business skill or volunteer as an organizer, then we encourage you to email us at seattle@1millioncups.com. And we are going to be moving into breakout rooms now. So this is going to be an opportunity to connect with other entrepreneurs and have a conversation. Maybe you're going to continue thinking about some of the things that were talked about here. Maybe you're going to share some of your own learnings of like, hey, wow, I learned this from the conversation. I'm going to apply that to my business in this way, because everybody's coaching can be our coaching. And yeah, so Leif is going to kick us away here with the breakout rooms, and have a great day.
Yeah, all the rooms should be open. Jump on in and leave when you are full. See you all next week.
Your cup is full. Leave when your cup is full. I like that one.
Cup is
Ooh,
full.
we should use that every time.
No.
All right. I'm going to
So
go join a room.